Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theravada Buddhism series, Dhamma talk number 84. The year of Buddha's 8th rain retreat, and an event with Prince Bodiraja Kumara. Buddha spent his 8th rain retreat in a deer park in Vasa forest near Kumara city in Bodhi kingdom. You will hear the word deer park here and there. What it means was those are the area where deer can roam about without being threatened to be killed or hunted by the human. Buddha went to that Kumara city and the Vasa forest for 3 times during his 45 years of his ministry. And it was recorded that 3 Vinaya rules or disciplines for the monks were laid down there as well. Prince Bodiraja Kumara, the ruler of this Bodhi kingdom, was the son of King Udena and his wife Vasa of Kosambi kingdom. So the father King Udena ruled at Kosambi kingdom, a country by itself. And his son, let's call it Prince Bodhi, Bodhi, B-O-D-H-I, Prince Bodhi rule, let's say another state, they call it a kingdom, Bodhi kingdom. And here we emphasize the word his mother. The mother is Vasa. The reason we emphasize here is the king has many wives, and one of his wife behaved differently towards the Buddha. That's why we are emphasizing the name of the mother here. And the prince was an expert in the art of taming and handling elephants. And he had learned that art from his father. his father was quite famous in catching, taming, handling elephants. And the prince recently finished building a palace named Kakananda. And this palace is a unique design, one of a kind. And as an opening ceremony, the prince invited the Buddha to bless his fortune and the court by having a meal at that brand new palace. After the meal, the prince said to the Buddha, the state of peace cannot be attained by peace, but it can only be attained by investing suffering. So that was his point of view. So he just make a statement like that to the Buddha without putting any question mark. To that the Buddha replied that he, the Buddha, also had the same view when he was a Bodhisattva. Before he became a Buddha, called Bodhisattva. At that time, he had the same view. To attain peace, you have to sacrifice a lot, suffer a lot. That's what Buddha said. And then the Buddha told the prince all the events in detail from the time he left his palace. Prince Siddhartha left the palace, his parents, wife, newly born child, renounced everything and left. And then first met the two teachers, Alaka and Uddaka. He learned from those two teachers the 8 jhanas and the 9 jhanas. He couldn't find any resolution to the truth that he was searching, the end of all suffering, so he left. And then he carries on. And then he practiced for 6 years, austerity programs. And then eventually became to the point of becoming a Buddha, and then went to the 5 ascetics and delivered the first sermon, the turning of the wheels of Dharma, and the sutta on non-self. Then all the 5 ascetics became arahant. The Buddha told him in details. So that's why we know what has happened, how it happened. And that sutta is worth reading for those who wish to know the detailed accounts of that period of the Buddha. let's say from the age of 29 to 35, what Buddha had done as a bodhisattva and how much suffering, hard work he took upon himself. So that is the same as what the Prince's point of view. To achieve peace, you have to sacrifice a lot, suffer a lot. But one thing was, that is not the correct viewpoint. Because after he had suffered so much, and at the age of 35, he came to a realization it is the middle part that is required. So in the last part of the 6 year, the Buddha practiced the middle part, the Eightfold Path, not the austerity program, not sacrifices and great suffering. And here, I wouldn't go into detail about these stories. You could read yourself. But I would like to highlight the 3 similes that came across Buddha when the Bodhisattva Buddha to be arrived at Sananigama. It's a name of a location at the river's bank in the Uruvela forest in Magadha kingdom. That is where he sat down and practiced 6 years of austerity programs. The name might sound nothing to you, but it is important that all the events and places and times are clearly recorded. That's why I made a point of saying these names. And these 3 similes, it doesn't come out of his reflection or analysis or from the psychic power. It just naturally pops up in his mind. That's what is written. And the simile used to make fire as example. The first one is a person uses a fresh sappy log which is in the water, pick it up and try to make fire. In the olden days, you have to have a piece of log or a wood on the ground, and then there's a stick, very hard, dry wood stick, and then put the pointed end of the stick on the log, and you rubbed your 2 hands repeatedly, creating friction so that eventually fire comes out. That's how they make fire. So in here, one uses a fresh green sappy log as a base, and you rub with a stick and make fire. And another scenario is one used the same fresh sappy wood, but it's not in the water, not in the lake or the river, but it is in a land far away from water and moisture. But still it is sappy, and use that as a base and try to make fire. with a fire-making stick. And the third scenario is one uses weathered, dried piece of wood or log, which is on the ground far away from any source of water or moisture, and use that as a kindle wood and rub it with the fire-making sticks and try to make fire. Of course, the first and the second scenario, regardless how hard you try, how much you put effort, there will be no fire. And the third scenario is a dry, weathered wood. Rubbed it with that stick, produce fire. So those three ideas pops up in the Buddha minds. So what does it mean for us to understand is, similarly, taking that as a simile, if one lives in the middle of sense pleasure, in other words, you live with your friends and families and children and so on. Those are the sense pleasure, the pleasure of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, to put it in a nutshell. But you can say families and friends and all the luxurious material. If one lives in the middle of all these sense pleasure, which is like water in the river, an object, and if you have a desire for these things, one would not escape from samsara. Desire is like a sappy, fresh wood. Desire is a sap or resin. It's in the stick, in the wood. The other was object. So in other words, the objects and desire for the object. And also, second scenario is if one lives away from the sense pleasure, what it means is a person lives in a solitude life, away from friends and families and material and luxury. A solitude like a hermit life, away from the water. But still, that person has a yearning for it. Now and then, or quite often, thinks about it. So to speak, all those good times and happy times. Still the yearning cannot leave that person. That means you still have the sap or the resin in the wood, have still the desire. If that's the case, one would not and cannot attain what one wish, peace and happiness, without any suffering left. And the third one is far away from land, far away from all this sense pleasure. You abandoned it, you renounced it. And also, it is not a sappy log or a wood. It's a dry, bone-dry kindle. That means you don't have any desire for it. And if these two conditions are there, one would escape from samsara, from all form of suffering, physical and mental. So I try to condense and put it that way, but in the scripture it's written in detail, not missing any part of it. So the Buddha said, if one practice under the third scenario would achieve the goal. So the prince heard and said, it's good. But he asked, having a Buddha as a teacher, how long would it take to become Arahant? So his next step is, okay, I'll have a guide as a Buddha, a teacher, and if so, how long will it take to become Arahant? And the Buddha replied with a question. Sometimes Buddha didn't give straight answer, but answer the question with a question. Well, I understand you are an expert in handling and training elephants. The prince says, yes, my lord. And okay, suppose that someone who has no confidence in himself and also ill and have some disease, but always this is a pretentious fellow, doesn't like to put too much effort, lazy fellow, and also not too bright. If that fellow comes to you and asks you to teach how to handle the elephants, would he succeed in learning the art of managing the elephant? That's a Buddha question to him, because that is what the prince knows and he's expert at it. And the prince replied, needless to say, being deficient in these 5 defects, even if the person has one defect, would not reach the goal. And then the Buddha asked again another question. How about now a person who has a great self-confidence in himself and he is healthy and not pretentious, have earnest effort and intelligence, would he be able to learn this art of handling the elephant if you teach him? Would he be able to succeed to reach the goal? And the prince replied, even if he has only one quality out of these 5, it is possible to reach the goal. Not even 5, only one quality. But if he has all 5, that person will surely succeed. That was the prince's answer. Then the Buddha proceeds to teach. If one has faith, saddha, which is self-confidence, is under saddha. If one has saddha, faith and confidence, and that person is also healthy body and mind. No disease, no illness, no mental disease, body and mind. And also that person is honest and sincere and is very diligent, not lazy. And he's quite intelligent, able to size up things quite well. And if that person practiced meditation under my guidance, would indeed attain arahata phala. The fourth, or precisely, is the eighth noble person. So that was the answer. The first one is saddha. You have to have a confidence. And then health, arojam. No disease, no illness. And the third is sincere and honest. Fourth, hardworking. And five, sharp intelligence. If you have these five qualities, and if I teach, that person will surely become the eighth noble person, will attain arahata phala. And then the prince asks again, how long will it take? He wants to know. Okay, these five conditions are there, and Buddha's there. If that's the case, how long will it take? So in here is, I like to put in a little bit about what is saddha, faith. Saddha, faith and confidence. There are four kinds of faith, just for informational purpose. The faith of a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva, from the Theravada point of view, is somebody who has already been prophesied by a Buddha to a person that you will become a Buddha at such and such time. That's a bodhisattva. If you don't have that, one cannot call it a bodhisattva. Everybody can wish to become a Buddha, but that doesn't mean it's a bodhisattva. That is a one kind of faith. Once you have that, that is unwavering desire. The mind will always incline to it regardless what or where or how. Where you were born and what religion you are born doesn't matter. The mind is always inclined towards Nibbana, so that it will be going on that path. That's the faith of bodhisattva. And another one is the faith of a Ariya, noble person. The faith of noble person is also unshakable. Belief in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and Karma. They are unshakable. Their view is unshakable under any circumstances. That's a faith of Ariya. And the third kind of faith is faith of a person in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Buddha is a self-enlightened person. Buddha knows all he knew without having a guide and a teacher. And Dharma is a very well taught, very well said. In that way one absolutely believes. And the third is Sangha, one who knows how to teach what Buddha has taught us. The guide map. In other words, a teacher in the classroom. What he had learned, he teaches again to the student. That's Sangha's job. What Buddhas have taught, they learn and they redistribute and re-taught to the students. That's Sangha. And their uprightness, you believe. And here Sangha means noble person. They are upright. So, if one believes in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, that is also one kind of saddha. And that kind of saddha is applied here. Not bodhisattva, not ariya. And also the fourth kind of saddha is having adoration and respect to the Buddha or to the Sangha based on the moral virtues. Okay? Based on the, this person is very holy. This Sangha, this monk is pristine, spotless. Just adore and respect the virtues. That's the fourth kind of saddha. In Pali, the first one is agama saddha. Second is adhigama saddha. The third one is okapana saddha. And the fourth one is pasada saddha. 4 kinds. Just a little information on the side. So, the saddha we are talking about is belief in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha according to the qualities. Second one we need is health. Health is free of disease and illness. But not just body only, both physical and mental. Disease are free. But there's one specific thing it's put in here. That one is ability to easily digest food. Okay, in other words, stomach problem, digestion problem is quite important. If you are going to practice, become a monk, only 1 meal a day or the breakfast and lunch. And if your stomach immune system is not strong, it will be very difficult. So that is with regard to health. Okay, saddha, aroja is health. The third one is honesty and sincerity. Okay, one must be free of pretensions and deceptions. Have sincerity. That is a quality a person must have. Must have honesty. The fourth one is diligence, viriya. The person must have zeal and avoiding unwholesome actions, and must have zeal in doing what is wholesome, not diligence to climb the mountain or swim across a lake, but diligence to avoid what is unwholesome, akusala, and doing things diligently what is wholesome, kusala. Very specific. That's diligent. And you pile great energetic effort in those actions. And also the last and the fifth one, pinya, wisdom. And here too, wisdom is precisely defined, not about knowing quantum physics or triple PhD in mathematics and so on. And what pinya, wisdom or intelligence means here is possess wisdom of arising and passing conditions. All the conditions that arises and passed away. You understand that. You have the knowledge to it. And or udiyapaya jnana, if you want a Pali word, arising and passing away, insight into it. If you have these 5 qualities, okay, confidence, health, honesty, diligence, and wisdom, and those 5 are also called in a different way as the must have 5 qualities of a good yogi. You are a practicing yogi. If you have these 5 qualities, you are a good yogi. If you don't have it, you cannot claim that title or definition. The Buddha said, if one have these 5 qualities of a good yogi, in Pali it's called Padani Yanga. And also you have Buddha as a teacher, because that's what the prince asked, so the Buddha has to answer it precisely. And if you have the Buddha as a teacher, one will attain Arahata Phala, the 8 Noble Person status, within 7 years. That's what the Buddha said. And the prince pushed. If 7 years is too long, can it become a little bit quicker? Can I get a little quicker the result? When he pushed that, the Buddha answered again, of course, yes, within a year. And the prince said, if it is too long, and the Buddha said, within a month. And the prince asked again. So to make the long story short, the Buddha said, it can be within 7 years or 1 year or 1 month, or a day, or even half a day. What does it mean by half a day is, if Buddha taught you in the morning, one can become Arahant. In the evening, if you heard the Buddha's teaching in the evening, one can become an Arahant. in the next morning. And that would release a person from samsara. So that was the Buddha's answer. It's a questions and answer between the Buddha and the Prince Bodhi, but also detailed accounts of the first 6 years of Bodhisattva life, where he invested a lot of suffering, hard work, to the point of skin on the bone, without any attainment. That's a very good read. Then the prince praised with adoration. The Buddha is remarkable in teaching Dharma. The Dharma is good at the beginning, the middle, and the end. And he took refuge in the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha. And soon after that, he became the first stream winner. So, on the 8th Vasa, Buddha taught us the qualities, the 5 qualities of a good yogi. Of course, we don't have the Buddha as a teacher now, but still we have the Dharma that he has left us, and even specifically said, Dharma will take my place after I am gone. We have the Dharma, so we can view as we still have Buddha in our heart through Dharma. So if one has parami, in other words, has been practicing for many lives, avoiding unwholesome and doing wholesome for many lives, and you have the Dharma as Buddha, and if you have the 5 qualities of a good yogi, and if you practice, as a simile said, a dry, weathered kindle wood or log, rub with the fire-making sticks, consistently, persistently, the fire will arise. The attainment will come to you. So it is just that we need to practice very hard with diligence without taking a break and a gap, because we have Dharma as Buddha. We have the condition, the guide, and you have the desire. With the ardent effort, you can attain or become a noble person in this very life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.